It's the Dino Will Show. Dino Wells Show. Dino Wells is here. Another episode. I have the great comedian slash actor slash writer slash director slash. That's my comedy. Got Willie Macc.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Man, so what got you started in comedy and in film?
What got me in comedy? Well, it started when I was doing College Hill, and like if you've seen College Hill, you know it's one of those reality shows, and there was a lot of drama in that show. But I've always was able to find like the lighter side of things, and it was even to a point where before College Hill. Once they flew everybody to the island, before they put us in the house, we all was in our own like separate hotel room. And the executive producer came to my hotel room, and he was like, "Hey Willie, let me explain who you are and why we casted you." He was like, "You were probably the funniest person that we casted. You were just naturally funny. It didn't feel scripted." He's like, "We're going to look for that from you in this show." And then he was like, he was telling me, like, basically there's going to be a lot of drama that's happening, and we will want you to be the lighter side of it.
Right, you the comic relief.
It was a comedy relief. And it got to a point where when we started doing radio interviews now, and people used to be like, "Hey, you're real funny on the show. Go ahead and tell us a joke." And I would never have a joke prepared because I never saw myself as a comedian. I just saw myself as a guy that was like, you know, that fun guy that you might have had in like high school or whatever. But I ended up writing out like my first couple of jokes during these radio interviews because people always ask me that. And I think one of my jokes was, I'm still new to Los Angeles. Since I've been out here, I've been shot at 4 times. My car got broken into and my place was recently robbed. And I had to finally get that taken care of, so I broke up with that girl. I was like, "Hey, look, this isn't going to work out." And that was like one of my first jokes that I ever written. And then after a while, I just started developing material and understanding comedy where people like comedy that come from a real place.
Right.
So I started writing about my life and about being on TV and all this other stuff. And years later, here I am.
How is your career since College Hill? And do you still communicate with some of your friends that was on College Hill?
We all slightly fell out. Me and JT fell out. I think Cheeky is like in the Navy now. Andre does some type of regular job in Tampa, Florida. Adisha, she's in Atlanta, Georgia, in the medical career. The other girl from the Virgin Islands, Vanessa, she is what is Vanessa doing? She got like 4 kids now, and she's doing her thing in St. Croix. Like, I'm the only one that's really doing anything that's like, wow, Willie Macc made it. Because, like, when you think of reality TV stars, a lot of people that do reality TV don't do anything outside of reality.
They get stuck in the reality world.
And I fell into a weird situation where I ended up becoming homeless. Because once you were done off of a reality show, in your head, you're thinking this fame will always last. You think that, like, it was this easy before. I guess I can get it again. And BET already told us at this time that they were going to do a new spin-off show on of College Hill, and they were going to bring the Virgin Island kids to Los Angeles. So it was going to be College Hill, Los Angeles. But the powers that be changed up management, and it was like, we don't want to go the reality route anymore. So, boom, I found a hard time. And it was also an ego thing for me because you're on the red carpet. Like, I knew Janet Jackson. It wasn't like how some people are like, yeah, I know who Janet Jackson is. Like, no. I was trying to, like, for example, I was trying to take a picture with Janet Jackson one time, and her handlers around her were like, no, she's not taking pictures anymore. She's not taking pictures today. And she was like, no, it's okay. That's Willie Macc. I want to take a picture with him. Like, she knew who I was.
Nice.
And it was like that with Beyonce, the Chris Brown, Rihanna. Like, I knew these folks. We was all going to the same parties. We saw each other. We said what's up to each other. We knew each other. So one thing about being on BET, on College Chill at least, we did not get paid a penny to be on that show. We didn't get not one dime for all the episodes that we did, the DVDs, nothing. And so once you're living this type of lifestyle, I think it's always going to be like this until it wasn't. And I needed to find a regular job. But, of course, I didn't want a regular job because in my head, I was Willie Macc. I'm the funny guy. I'm on TV.
Right.
I was just kicking it with Nelly and Ashanti at the time when they were together. Last night, I was at the BET Awards on the red carpet. And now you're telling me I need to have an actual job? And my degree wasn't worth anything. So I was working at like a little low-end marketing company. And even people there was like, you look familiar. And I was like, hell yeah, woo. So I ended up finding a hard time. I was struggling in between all this situation. And then I ended up becoming homeless. And I had to ask, like, people, if it's cool if I stay on your couch for a month? Is it cool if I stay over here a few months? Is it cool if I stay over here? Because I had no money. I had no job. I had no car. And then one day, I was like, I was looking at myself in the mirror, and I was like, Willie, we can't be like this always, man. What do we need to do? You got to humble yourself. I end up having to, like, motivate myself and humbling myself. And I was like, I am going to kill this commercial game. And I used to sit there, and I would chant in the mirror, I'm the commercial king. I'm the commercial king. And before you knew it, now, after an extended amount of time, I got a nice residence and commercial. And I got paid nicely off that residence and commercial. And then they just started hitting, boom, 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 boom. Ended up getting Applebee's, PayPal, Kia, what else? I can't think, Domino's. And like the commercials start coming in, the money start coming in. And then I had to be like, really, what are we going to do differently this time now that you're in money than you did last time when you thought you was in money and you struggled? So I end up investing in some property in St. Louis. I end up investing in a Lionsgate movie that stars Silk the Shocker, Lil Duval, Michael Blackson. And here I am talking to you.
Man, I remember living in Archstone Apartments in Studio City, and I remember seeing you out in Studio City. I think you was living somewhere around there at the time. I can't remember.
Yeah, I was.
And I remember seeing you out there, and I was like, man, this is Willie Macc right there. You know what I'm saying? Because I kind of look. I know I'm 46, and you're younger than me, but at the same time, I looked up to you because I was going through the same struggles. You know, coming out there on the whim to L.A., homeless, lived in Skid Row, lived in the shelter, lived on people's couches and stuff like that. So bouncing around doing my thing, man. So how's the family support? Has family supported you through all this trying times that you was going through?
It's interesting in the sense of I'm a preacher's kid. So ideally, the first thing they kind of want me to do and wanted me to do, and even still, is like they want me to, like, you know, take over the reins, be a pastor or do something in church involved. And part of the reason I came to L.A. from St. Louis is because I guess I was on my prodigal son mission. Like, I dipped. I'm like, I don't want no parts of that. Like, hey, y'all better talk to the other kids, the other sons about being all of that. And I did my own thing. But eventually, they've accepted, like, they've always wanted me to be who I was. Like, even though I'm a preacher's kid, I'm not your ordinary preacher's kid.
Right.
For example, my dad, before he became a pastor, used to be a big heroin drug dealer in Los Angeles back in the 70s. Like, he was the guy that distributed drugs from Los Angeles to Washington. then he ended up giving his life to Christ. So my dad understood wanting to be on his own and finding his own person. So they saw that, but at the same time, my dad also saw what happens to failed actresses and actors and coming back home. So there was always that tinge of you want to stick to your degree, you want to do something that you know, and all of that other good stuff. But now, my mom gets excited every time she sees my commercial or she hears that I'm booking, and now people are recognizing me as like one of the top guys to know and all these other things. So they've always supported, but they've always wanted me to, kind of stay home. And just it's not like when a lot of people move to Los Angeles, not all, of course, but a lot of them, they have family out here, or they know somebody out here, or it's a group of them. Like, I came by myself as a sheltered preacher's kid from St. Louis. Right. And it's like, I'm talking about, I'm going to be on TV. And it's like, yeah, okay. Only people that from St. Louis that made it on TV was like Red Fox, Liam, I forgot to do his name, from Mad Men, Nelly. It's like, there's a very few of us. So, yeah, I mean, it was that whole entire thing.
Well, are you a Rams fan? Are you sad that they left St. Louis?
I'm a Rams fan. I'm not sad that they left. I would probably be sad that they left St. Louis if I was still in St. Louis. But now it's like the home team is now here in Los Angeles where I call home as well.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Who's your favorite comedian, and are you inspired by that comedian?
I'm inspired, and one of my favorite comedians, I give my top three, is probably Jerry Seinfeld. I was a huge, I'm a Chris Rock fan, but one of my biggest idols, if I could say that, is Bernie Mac, which is how I got my last name Mac as well. But I had to be different, and I spelled my Mac with two C's, as he spelled his Mac with just one C. But the funny story about all of that is, like, Bernie Mac, of course, his real name isn't Bernie Mac.
Right.
Like, his real name is like Bernie McCollum. And like, my real last name is Willie McMillan. Well, so we shortened it.
Right. Bernard, I think his name was, right?
Say that again?
Bernard, I think his name was, right?
Yeah. That's exactly what it was.
Man, that's awesome, man. That's nice to know. And it's funny, most people say, they'll say Eddie Murphy or Richard Pryor, and then you said Bernie Mac, because that's more around your era anyway, you know what I'm saying? So that's awesome, man. I like that.
That's exactly what it is. Like, when you think of Eddie Murphy was raw. So was Richard Pryor. They cussing and the kind of derogatory, which is completely fine. I don't mind it at all. But when you think of Bernie Mac, he tells stories of my nephews and my kids and my life. Like, he told stories of his life, which is like, if you look up Willie Macc stand up on like maybe YouTube or something, like Willie Macc and his grandma, Willie Macc and his son, like, if you type that stuff in, like, I talk about my family the same way. I mean, of course, it's not as genius yet as Bernie Mac, but hopefully one day.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
5 years. One of the things that I'm trying to get into now, last year I had a bad year. Like, when I say bad year, hear me out on this. Like, I made a decent amount of money last year, and I considered myself as an investor. I'm like, I'm going to invest in these projects. I'm going to invest into people and their projects. I'm going to do my research, and I end up losing maybe, let's say, a little over $40,000 in people investing into people that I thought were friends or I thought were like, which was legit, which seemed legit, signed paperwork, and now they just like disappeared, and now I had to go through these whole legal routes and all this other stuff, and it sucks. So because the way that I look at it is like, how many actors do you know who were on television or who were in movies and now are broke or now not doing a thing, and you hear these suicide stories from actors because they don't know what to do with themselves. So one of the things that I want to do with myself is I want to learn how to make acting, which I love, more of a pastime than a need. Because some people fall into that need category in acting, where I want it to be like, this is how I make my income, but I also make income doing this, or I also do that. Like, I want to be able to establish a portfolio of things to do with the way that I make money. So that's where I'm investing into properties, or I'm actually going to a real estate class in just a second, because I want more than just this. It's bigger than just the whole Hollywood and entertainment side. I want to be, instead of just the person in front of the camera, I also want to have the money to be that person behind the camera, where all the real money and all the decisions and power really is.
Right. Have you seen the Oscars, and what do you think? What do you think of it?
The Oscars is a joke. All these award shows are jokes when you're, I guess, when you're black. It's like every award show, you're just hoping that the black people win, or you're hoping that the best idea win, and then the people give like these different, I don't want to say excuses, but people give different reasons why they won. Like, I sing La La Land. I got La La Land on the screeners and all that other stuff. For that to win the awards that it won, it was like, really? Manchester by the Sea. It's like Denzel Washington not only did a great job, but the amount of money that it made, it had very limited cast. It was like, why wouldn't that have won Best Picture? Or why wouldn't Denzel win Best Actor?
You saw his face. You saw his face, right?
Of course, because he knows how hard it is. Like, what Denzel got was like one of those once-in-a-lifetime movies and roles where it's like it's going to be hard to get or find something like that again. Of course, Denzel can play it, and Denzel is Denzel, but at the same time, he got senses. Like, turned it into a movie, finally got the... It's not like people are out here just giving black people these millions of dollars for their films. So he finally got the investments on it and all this other stuff. And everybody was like, this is going to get you your second Oscar. This is going to be the best picture. And people are just saying it. And for it to go to a La La Land, or for it to go, not to La La Land, but like some of the actors in those other projects, it's like, oh, man, come on, yo. Give us a break.
What do you think about the debacle with the Moonlight at the end?
Oh, man. That debacle, I mean, it's I don't want to say there's a conspiracy on there, but it's like, it's funny. It's like the Oscars have been around all these years, and you telling me someone accidentally gave the wrong flip or whatever it was.
Right.
Like, y'all are not supposed to mess up.
Right. On a national stage like that.
On a national stage like that, knowing everything that's going on in the black community and all this other stuff, that's the one that y'all mess up. It's like, wow.
I got a few more questions for you. I know you got to get up out of here. What is your dream role, like a dream role, a dream project you want to work on?
My dream project, I want to be on a sitcom. I want to be on a successful, smart sitcom. Like, I don't want to be on a sitcom and I end up getting typecast where it's like you can't do anything else outside of that. My idea is, I'm actually kind of writing it right now, but it's like this Willie Macc show. I want a show after me because my life is so colorful. I've done so much. I have such an interesting story. Like I said, my dad was running drugs from Los Angeles to Washington, heroin, back in the 70s. The pastor, like, how many people can say that about their dad? Or how, and not just my dad and his brothers, it was like a family thing, and now he's a pastor. Or how many people can sit there and say that they had their son in high school and still know their son, and now their son is this really big, like, for example, my son is 6'2", 185 pounds, and he's 14 years old. And most of my material that I talk about on stage is about my son because he hates sports. And as for me, sports was all I knew. So it's like I have these black expectations of my son, and he's like, yeah, I don't want to do that, Dad. Like, my son is a video gamer. He sits at home and plays video games and posts videos on YouTube. That's what my son does. But that's what he enjoys. But I be looking at him like, let's go play basketball. He's like, why would I want to potentially twist my ankle? I'm like, your ankle's not twisted now. He's like, but what if my ankle is twisted? Like, these are conversations that me and my son have. But he's really, really smart. For example, my son, I was talking to my son, like, he's at that age where he had his first wet dream and he didn't know what was going on and all of that. So I had to explain it to him, like, hey, Malcolm, look, you're having wet dreams. He's like, Dad, what a wet dream? I'm like, you know, when you think you're peeing in the bed and it's not really pee. He's like, what is it? I'm like, it's nuts, son. You're nutting in the bed and you sleep. That's what you're doing. And my son says to me, he's like, so you're telling me I'm having nocturnal emission? And I was like, what are nocturnal emissions? I'm trying to talk to you about wet dreams. He's like, Dad, it's called a nocturnal emission because that nocturnal is at night and you're emitting at night. I'm like, first of all, I shouldn't be the one learning anything from this conversation. Like, we don't call it wet dreams because that's what I know it as. I'm like, no one knew that there was a technical term for a wet dream. I mean, yeah, it definitely makes sense. Like, I'm pretty sure a doctor that went to school for 15 years did not be like, we're going to call this a wet dream. Yeah, I know, I understand. I get where you're going with. But come on, my son should know what nocturnal emissions is, but not a wet dream. But right. That's what I knocked up the first time I had sex, I knocked up the girl. And she was a lesbian, but wanted to try out guys for the first time, and that's who I knocked up in high school. Like, I have a lesbian baby mama. Not only is she a lesbian, now she decided to become a butch. So now people kind of look at you like, dude, did you have a gay thing? Or like, why? How did you knock up the butch? Like, you didn't even knock up the feminine one. I mean, like, I walk around with like a before picture how she used to look in high school. Like, she didn't always look like the butch. She decided to do this recently. And it sucks now because, like, it doesn't suck, but it's interesting now because, like, for example, I dress very tight-fitted. Like, I'm one of those guys, real trendy type. But my son, mom still dresses in the baggy pants, the Timbo boots, and flannel shirt. And we look like when all three of us are together, like
our brothers.
Her and my, we look like a gay couple that adopted a child. Like, that's how. And the problem is, I don't necessarily look like I'm the top on the relationship.
Oh my God!
Like, if you like that's like these are the type of stories I would love to tell in a sitcom.
Man, so we got a lot in common, man. Actually, we have a lot in common. I can see on a lot of parameters, man. I think that's why the universe had gravitated us together because of that, man. And it's always a pleasure talking to you, man. What do you think about that Nicki Remy beef? One last thing. I know that Remy and Nicki beef is so stupid to me, but two older women just yapping. Like, what is that all about?
Hey, what I think what it is, it's kind of like, you know, every once in a while my son tries to challenge me because he knows he's bigger than me. Like, he's not an athletic person, but every once in a while he brags like, yeah, that's why I'm 6'2", and you 180, or like you 175 pounds, I'm 185, and he tried to wrestle me, and every once in a while I have to sock my son in the stomach. Like, I hit him real hard, boom, and he'll curl, why you hit me? I'm like, because you need to learn to stay in your place. Like, I understand you bigger than me and all this other stuff, but you got to remember who I am and who I was. So I feel like that's what the Nicki Minaj and the Remy situation is. It's like Nicki, they were both like at the time when they met, Nicki was subservient to Remy Ma, and Remy Ma was on top of the world. Then life happened. Nicki got bigger. Remy started kind of fading away, and like they came out with her album, and then Nicki started boom hitting. Like they've always been hitting back and forth, but Remy had to come out with that sister and be like, hey, I need you to remember who I am. Like, I'm not just a has-been.
Right.
I got bars. Like, this is what I do. I've been doing this a long time, and she had to put her in that place. Just like kind of like how I was saying, like I have to every once in a while punch my son in the stomach for him to understand you may be bigger, but now I got old man strength. You can't.
Yes, indeed.
Old man strength is a beast.
I did not know you had a 14-year-old, man. That's funny because I'm dealing with my 15-year-old right now and all the little issues that he has. And like I said, a lot of things that we have in common. Man, what kind of words of wisdom you give to aspiring actors that's in your position or that was in your position at one point in life that's thinking about coming out to California and pursue a career in acting and comedy and whatever? What words of wisdom you want to give to them?
I would love to tell them it's about perseverance. There's times where I wanted to give up easily. Like I said, when you're sitting there, when you're on top of the world, and then you got to sit there a couple years later asking people to stay on the couch, there's times where you want to go back home or you want to just kind of say, man, maybe I should just find a second job or because even when you start finding these first and second and third jobs, you start weaning away from and whatever. But you gotta fall in love with the process over and over again. And that's what I had to do for myself because I was at that point where I was wanting to give up. There was no reason for me to be in LA where I'm paying this expensive rent for a studio apartment where if I use that same money, I could probably get a house somewhere in St. Louis, 3-bedroom with a nice backyard. But I had to remember why I'm out here because I love the journey. Now, when you sit there and you're just focusing on acting, and because you're going to get denied a lot. And it's funny because the Residence Inn commercial that I did, let's say I made about $200,000 on that commercial. I was actually working at a job at that point in my life, and I was already at one audition. And my job was flexible enough to where they would let me go on one audition or whatever. And so I was already like an hour late from when I told them that I would be back. And my agent called and was like, hey, you got a Residence Inn audition. And I actually drove past the Residence Inn audition because I wasn't going to go. And then I was like, you know what? F it. I did not come out here to be working at this 9 to 5. There's people that let me do, but this is not where my heart is to be working a regular job. And I ended up turning around. I went back to that audition. I called my job. I'm like, look, I know I'm going to be super late and all this other stuff, and I'll make up time. I swear, I promise, blah, 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 blah. And I went to that audition, and I booked it, and it's been the best paying job I've ever done. And renewed my contract for another 21 months a couple months ago. And it's like I was driving away from this job because I got comfortable working this 9 to 5. I'm sorry, I almost left this Residence Inn commercial, and God had it sitting here for me. It's like God had to tell me, like, you did not come out here to California to work a 9 to 5. And I had to tell myself I'm gonna fall in love with this process over and over again. It's like falling in love with a woman and she doesn't love you back necessarily. And like, I'm gonna show my attention. Like that one part of the movie where the dude is standing outside with the radio raised up to the window. That's what I had to do to act. I'm like, I'm gonna get your attention. You're gonna hear me.
That's powerful.
Perseverance.
That's powerful, persevering, being very resilient, and that's powerful stuff, man. Man, I take my hat off to you. You doing your thing.
Thank you, sir.
You about to continue. You're gonna continue to do your thing. This concludes our. Before I do that, I forgot. Are you accessible to your fans and where your fans can reach you?
Oh yeah, let them all hit me up on Instagram, Facebook. If you just look up my name, Willie Macc, WILLIEMACC. Yeah, I'm accessible. I have been busy lately. Like I'm also into politics, so I've been going to Sacramento and city councils. But yeah, hit me up, and when I have time, I definitely hit back.
That's what I'm talking about. And can you give me a drop of the Dino Wells Show?
Oh, what's up, y'all? I'm Willie Macc, and you are listening, watching, loving the Dino Wells Show.